They say when you grow old, the world gets quieter. But nobody warns you how loud the silence can be. I used to fall asleep to the sound of my daughter's breathing, soft and steady against my shoulder. Now, years later, she falls asleep listening to mine, through a little glowing screen. She says it comforts her. She says, "Mama, I like to hear you breathe." And so every night, I leave the camera on, because somewhere far away, someone still needs the proof that I'm alive. My name doesn't matter much anymore, but the postman still calls me Mrs. Davy, 68 years old, retired teacher, lover of jasmine tea and quiet mornings. My knees ache when it rains. My hands forget where they left things. And the people who used to fill this house now exist mostly in photographs. I live alone, in a small flat that smells of old books and soap. There's a chair by the window, a kettle that whistles louder than it should, and a phone that lights up more faithfully than the sun. That phone has become my heartbeat, because every night, without fail, it rings. And for a few hours, I'm not old. I'm just Mama again. Her face appears before I even say hello. Tired eyes, messy hair, the city's glow bouncing off her cheeks. "Hi, Mama. You look cozy. And you look exhausted." I tell her. We laugh, trading small words that hide big feelings. She talks about work. I talk about weather. Neither of us says what we really mean. "I miss you." Before long, her eyelids grow heavy. "Keep the camera on, Mama," she murmurs. "I like hearing you breathe." I tease her. "You're the only grown woman I know who uses her mother as a lullaby." But inside, I feel a warmth no blanket could give. I set the phone on the table beside my bed, its glow painting my wrinkles silver, and I whisper, "Good night, my child." When she was small, I would lie awake counting her breaths. Now she counts mine. Time has turned the circle once more. Sometimes I imagine the sound traveling through wires, each exhale carrying a little piece of love across miles. It comforts me to think she falls asleep to something alive, not to the hum of machines. And maybe that's why I never end the call first. I let the screen dim on its own, the way light leaves a room after prayer. My world fits inside one camera frame, a vase of flowers, the curtains she bought last spring, the picture of her father smiling like he's still here. Before the call, I tidy the table, comb my hair, apply a little lipstick, rituals that make me feel like someone is still looking at me with love. She never forgets to notice. "You look beautiful, Mama." I laugh, pretending it's nothing. But those words sit beside me long after the call ends, like a second cup of tea I don't want to spill. One night the line went dead mid-sentence. No voice, no picture, just the reflection of my fear in the black screen. I whispered her name into the void, as if sound could travel without signal. For a moment, I felt the weight of every mile between us. When it reconnected, she was crying. "Mama, don't ever do that again." "Do what?" "Disappear." I wanted to tell her I've been disappearing slowly for years, from photographs, from crowds, from the future. But instead I said, "All right, sweetheart, I'll stay right here." And I meant it. We never talk about fear. We talk about groceries, her neighbor's cat, the recipe she can't get right. But in her pauses, I hear the guilt. In mine, she hears the fatigue. That's the thing about family. We read the words no one types. Sometimes she tells me about parties she couldn't attend, friends she doesn't see anymore. I tell her about neighbors she's never met. Together we fill the distance with borrowed stories, like patching holes in a roof with paper. After each call ends, the silence rushes back like a tide. I sit in my chair, listening to the hum of the fridge, pretending it's conversation. I used to hate noise. Now I keep the radio on all day. because quiet sounds too much like absence. Sometimes I replay her messages, her laugh spilling through the speaker, the small sigh when she says good night. It fills the room. And for a moment, I am not alone. Last week she said, "Mama, I'm coming home next month. Promise." I nodded, though promises travel slower than tickets. I know she means it, but I also know how easily plans dissolve into work and worry. So I told her, "Take your time, my girl. I'm not going anywhere." Inside, my heart whispered, "Not yet. It's midnight now." She's fallen asleep mid-sentence again, face half hidden by her pillow. The soft hiss of the microphone carries every inhale. I listen, count, smile. This is what love becomes at my age. Quiet, steady, invisible, but strong enough to keep two hearts beating in rhythm. I close my eyes and let the sound rock me to sleep. Sometimes, in the middle of the night, I wonder what would happen if my breathing stopped while she was listening. Would the line go silent? Would she know? It's a selfish thought, but it keeps me honest with time. So each night, I promise myself another dawn. Just one more morning for her to call and say, "Good morning, Mama." And I will answer, "I'm still here." They say old age is just waiting, but I think it's remembering the sound of laughter, the smell of dinner, the warmth of someone who no longer fits in your arms but still fits in your heart. If you're listening to my story tonight, tell me, when was the last time you called the person who waits for you, the one who still keeps their phone by the bed, just to hear you say, "I'm okay"? Don't let love become an unread message. Call, stay on the line, listen to someone breathe, because one day that sound will be gone, and you'll wish you'd kept the camera on a little longer. Mornings come early when you live alone, not because of plans, but because silence doesn't sleep in late. The light creeps through the curtains like an uninvited guest, and I find myself already awake, waiting for a sound, any sound, that isn't mine. I check the phone first. No messages yet. Just yesterday's photo of my daughter smiling through the screen, her coffee steaming, her city alive. I tap the picture once, and the phone almost feels warm. This is how our mornings greet each other now. She with traffic, me with teacups and quiet. She moved away for work. "Just a few years, Mama," she said. "It's a good opportunity." I nodded, pretending I wasn't counting the miles. Every parent knows that a few years means as long as life allows. The day she left, the house still smelled of her shampoo. Her toothbrush sat by the sink like it didn't believe her. I didn't wash it for weeks. When she called that first night, I tried not to let her hear the tremble in my voice. "Are you eating well?" "Yes, Mama." "Sleeping?" "Trying." And then she said, "You sound lonely." I laughed it off, because admitting loneliness feels like confessing a weakness you can't fix. Our screens became our home. Her phone, my tablet, two windows looking into different worlds. We started to decorate our frames like rooms. She'd show me her kitchen. I'd show her my garden. Well, the potted basil that refuses to die. Sometimes she'd cook while we talked. I'd guide her through recipes, correcting her measurements like old times. "Not that much salt. Sweetheart, you'll ruin it." She'd laugh. "You say that every time, Mama." Moments like that trick me. They make me forget the glass between us, until the signal stutters, and I'm reminded that even love can buffer. People still visit. Neighbors drop off groceries. The postman brings parcels I don't remember ordering. But it's different when she visits through the screen. She looks at me, really looks, as if she's memorizing my wrinkles one by one. Sometimes I turn the camera slightly away. I don't like how tired my face has become. She tells me, "You still look beautiful, Mama." I say, "That's because your screen has bad lighting." We both laugh, but I see the sadness behind her smile. She knows it's not the lighting. I've started writing down the things my body forgets. Medicine times, appointment dates, words that sometimes slip away before I catch them. But I never write any of this to her. She worries too much already. Instead, I talk about the weather, because it's easier to discuss clouds than lungs. Last week, she noticed the oxygen machine behind me. I told her it was just a humidifier. She didn't believe me, but she pretended she did. That's the cruel kindness between screens. We both lie to protect the other, and both know the truth anyway. One afternoon I fainted while cooking. It wasn't serious. The doctor said my sugar was low. When I woke on the floor, the phone was ringing. Her name glowed bright, as if she somehow knew. I answered, trying to sound normal. "You're late, sweetheart. I already ate." "What did you have?" I looked at the half-burned pot on the stove. "Something simple." "Send me a picture next time," she said. I promised I would. I didn't. Instead, that night I made tea and let her eat dinner through the screen. Watching her eat made me feel full. Maybe that's what parenthood is, being nourished by someone else's happiness. Sometimes I see guilt in her eyes, the same way I see rain clouds before a storm. She tries to hide it behind woke calls, behind sentences like "I'll visit soon." I want to tell her I understand, that I once left my mother, chasing a future that turned out to be shorter than her patience. But the words don't come, because forgiveness sounds too much like goodbye. Last winter, I had a fever that wouldn't let go. The nights were long and heavy. She stayed on video for hours, working with one earphone in, watching over me through the small screen. "Sleep, Mama. I'm right here." Her voice echoed softly through the room. Sometimes she hummed old songs, the ones I used to sing to her as a child. And in that moment, I realized the distance didn't matter. The love had found a new shape. Invisible, digital, but still warm. Even so, when the call ends each night, loneliness crawls back under the door. It sits beside me at breakfast. It eats dinner across from me. Sometimes I set the extra plate anyway. Old habits don't understand technology. I tell myself I'm strong, that I don't need company. But strength is overrated when the house keeps whispering your name back at you. I started scrolling through old photos the other night. Her first day of school, her college graduation, the wedding she postponed again. Every picture glows brighter than the room around it, and yet each one feels quieter than her voice through the phone. She once said, "Mama, I'll make enough money to take you everywhere." I told her, "I've already been everywhere that mattered, anywhere you were." She laughed, but I meant it. Now, the phone's glow feels like company, a pulse in the dark. Every notification makes my heart jump, not because I crave the message, but because it reminds me that I still exist in someone's world. Sometimes I wonder if she knows how much her little good night, Mama, means. Those 3 words stretch across oceans of silence and make the house feel lived in again. My neighbor, Mrs. Core, once asked, "Why do you stay at that phone so long, Davy? It'll ruin your eyes." I smiled and said, "It's the only window in my house that opens both ways." She didn't understand. That's all right. Some things are only clear to those who wait for a ring that means love, not business. Last night, the battery on my phone died mid-call. Her face vanished again. But this time, I didn't panic. I just sat in the dark, hearing her laughter echo in memory. And I realized something simple. Even when the screen goes black, love still glows in the mind. You know, I used to think love was about grand gestures, birthdays, gifts, celebrations. But now I think love is built from smaller things. Calls answered, messages returned, a face on a screen that says, "I'm still here." between these screens. I've learned that connection isn't about distance. It's about attention. And even if my days are quiet, I'm grateful for the light that flickers on my phone each night, because it means someone, somewhere, still remembers I'm breathing. Tell me, when was the last time you called? Not because you had news to share, but just to listen to someone's silence. Maybe tonight. You should try. The power has been playing tricks tonight. The bulb above my table hums, dims, then glows again. Like it's breathing with me. I set the phone on its stand, angle it toward the chair by the window, and wait for her face to appear. When the call connects, the room brightens. That small square of light has become my son. Hi, Mama. Hi, sweetheart. Her smile looks tired. She says the weather there is hot, and I tell her here it rains every afternoon. For a few minutes, it feels almost ordinary, until the picture jerks, freezes mid-laugh, and the sound turns into a crackling ocean. Hello? Can you hear me? Her voice drifts through static, chopped and thin. Then silence. I stare at the frozen frame. Her mouth half open, her eyes caught mid-blink. It's strange how even in stillness, I can see her trying to reach me. I tap the screen, check the signal, whisper her name as if that could travel through wires. Nothing. Outside, the rain thickens. Thunder rolls over the rooftops. For a moment I'm back in the old house, the night her father died. The same sound, the same helpless waiting for a voice to return. 5 minutes. 10. Still frozen. I reach out, touch the glass, and say quietly, I'm here. Don't worry. The screen doesn't answer, but saying it makes me believe it. Just when I think the connection's lost for good, the light flashes, and her face jumps back into motion. Mama, I can see you. She's crying. I laugh in relief, though my chest feels heavy. It's only the storm. I say, I'm fine. She wipes her eyes. Promise me you'll call if anything happens. What could happen? I'm old, not fragile. It's a lie wrapped in humor, but that's how mothers protect their children, with jokes sturdy enough to hide the truth. A few nights later it happens again. Not the storm this time, just the picture cutting in and out, like the signal can't decide which of us it loves more. Every time it freezes, I hold my breath. When it returns, I exhale slowly, counting it as another borrowed heartbeat. She says her internet's fine, so maybe it's mine that's fading. I smile at the thought. Even the connection knows whose time is shorter. I didn't tell her about the doctor's visit. There's no reason to worry her with charts and numbers. He says my lungs are tired. He says I should rest more, talk less. But how can I rest when talking is the only way she knows I'm still here? So I keep the calls going. Each word a little victory over silence. Sometimes I mute myself to catch my breath, then unmute quickly so she won't notice. She thinks the lag is the internet. I let her. Tonight the signal flickers worse than ever. Her voice breaks into pieces. Ma, okay. Yes, sweetheart, I'm just. And then the sound collapses completely. Only a hiss remains. Soft, steady, almost like breathing. I close my eyes and pretend it's her asleep again, the way she used to. It's comforting and frightening all at once. I remember the day she first left home. The train window was dirty, and I could barely see her face as it pulled away. But I waved anyway, until the train became nothing but sound. That moment feels the same now, watching her fade into static, knowing she's still out there but unreachable. Time has a cruel sense of humor. It keeps replaying scenes, until you finally understand their meaning. Mama, I can see you again. Her face snaps back, blurry but alive. She laughs through tears, and I realize she's been just as scared as I have. You didn't move for so long. she says. I thought. You thought I fell asleep. No, I thought I lost you. I reach toward the camera, fingertips meeting glass. You can't lose what never left you. We both fall silent. Outside, the thunder finally drifts away. A red symbol flashes. Low battery. The phone is tired, like me. I plug it in, stroke the cord gently as if it were in four. She laughs. You and that old phone are the same, Mama, stubborn but still working. That's because we both run on love, I tease. She smiles, but her eyes linger too long on my face. I can tell she sees the shadows under my eyes, the weight in my breaths. Still, she says nothing. Neither do I. After she hangs up, I keep the camera open a little longer, watching the small connection-ended message fade. I fall asleep in the glow. In the dream, the signal is perfect, clearer than real life. Way sitting at the kitchen table, laughing about nothing. No pixels, no distance. Then the dream flickers, and she begins to disappear piece by piece. First her hands, then her smile, then her voice saying, Mama, hold on. I wake with the phone pressed to my chest. It's still warm. I whisper, I am holding on. The next day she sends a text. I had a bad dream last night. I lost you in it. I stay at the message for a long time before replying. Then we dream together, my love. She doesn't answer right away, but when she calls that evening, her first words are, let's keep the camera on longer tonight. And I nod, because somewhere inside both our dreams, the same fear is living. It's strange how dependent we become on invisible things. Signals, batteries, connections. Once it was prayers and letters. Now it's Wi-Fi and apps. But the feeling beneath it hasn't changed. It's the same ancient ache. The need to know that someone, somewhere, is still reaching back when you call their name. Sometimes I wonder if love in this age is measured not in years, but in minutes connected. We count missed calls instead of moments. We scroll instead of visit. We listen through microphones. When what we really crave is the sound of breathing without distance. If you're hearing my story now, ask yourself, when was the last time you waited on the line, through the static, through the awkward silence, just to make sure the person you love was still there? Because one day, the signal will drop for good, and all that will remain is the echo of your own voice, saying hello to no one. It began with little things. A step missed on the stairs. A word that slipped away before I could finish it. At first, I blamed tiredness. Then the mirror told me otherwise. The woman staring back looked surprised, as if someone older had borrowed her face. The doctor says it's nothing alarming, just lungs that need rest, bones that want slower days. But how do you tell your body to rest when your heart still waits by the phone? I didn't tell my daughter. Mothers edit their suffering, cut the pain, keep the smile. When she calls, I straighten up in the chair, paint a little color on my lips, hide the oxygen tube behind a shawl. How's my beautiful mama? She asks. Still troublesome. I laugh. We both act well in this play of pretending, because the truth would only bruise her. Each morning I count breaths, the way others count blessings. Inhale, hope. Exhale, fear. Some days they balance, some days they don't. The doctor gave me a little machine that hums and wheezes beside my bed. He called it assistance. I call it company. At night I leave it running, its rhythm joining the crickets outside. Even machines sound like lullabies. When you've run out of voices to sing, when she notices my pauses on calls, I blame the network. You froze for a second, Mama. Ah, the internet again. Always lazy in the evenings. She smiles, but I can see the worry behind her eyes. a reflection too familiar to lie to. Sometimes I mute myself to cough. When the sound returns, I pretend to sip tea. It's a dance we both know the steps to, though neither of us learned it willingly. Names still come easily. Dates do not. I once called her on a Tuesday, thinking it was Sunday. She laughed and said, "You just couldn't wait 2 more days to scold me." Her laughter filled the room, but when the call ended, I stared at the calendar for a long time, wondering what else the mind lets go of, before it finally lets go of living. This morning the mirror startled me again. There's a tremor in my hands now, gentle but constant, like the flutter of a bird caught between staying and leaving. I placed my palm flat on the glass. It felt cold, as if my reflection belonged to someone I used to know. Then the phone rang. Her name glowed bright and alive. For a moment the shaking stopped. Love is the only medicine that still works instantly. She studies my face through the camera. "You're pale. Mama, are you eating?" "Too much. The doctor will scold me." "Promise me you'll rest." "I rest plenty. Look, I'm sitting." We both laugh, but her voice cracks. She knows. I know she knows. Sometimes honesty is the kindest silence. After she hangs up, I open the old photo albums. Each page smells faintly of dust and youth. Her tiny hands gripping my finger. Her first day at school. That time we got caught in the rain and laughed like thunder was a friend. Now I look at those smiles and wonder if she remembers them too, or if they've been replaced by the glow of her office screen. She was supposed to come this month. She called, voice trembling. "Mama, there's a work emergency. I'll come soon, I promise." I said, "Sweetheart, the world won't end if you miss a few days with an old lady." But after she hung up, I sat by the door for hours anyway, just in case promises learned how to keep themselves. The next morning I baked her favorite bread. It burned. Still, I left it on the counter, because the smell made the house feel less empty. At night, my body remembers all the years it carried others. Groceries, worries, expectations. The small universe called family. Now it carries only itself. And even that feels heavy. But when she calls, everything straightens. It's as if love lends me posture. Sometimes I think I keep living, so she can keep calling. And maybe that's reason enough. There's a small notebook on my bedside table. Inside are letters I'll never send. One for her birthday. One for the day she gets married. One for the day I'm gone. I write them slowly, so the ink lasts longer than I will. If she ever finds them, I hope she reads them out loud. Voices deserve to live twice. Once in love, and once in memory. Yesterday, the nurse adjusted my oxygen tube. While the call was still running, I forgot to mute. Her eyes widened. "Mama, what's that sound?" "Just the kettle. Dear, you know how loud it gets." She didn't argue. She just nodded, her lips pressed tight as if holding back a storm. After we hung up, I cried. Not from pain, but from the kindness of her pretending. I sometimes think our bodies and our phones are cousins. Both fragile, both needing charge, both carrying memories we can't afford to lose. But unlike my phone, I can't replace this one. When the battery inside me dies, there's no spare part, no update, no reset. That thought doesn't scare me anymore. It just makes me listen more carefully to every breath that still works. The doctor visited again today. He brought flowers, perhaps to distract from the look in his eyes. "How's my favorite patient?" he asked. "Still breathing," I replied. He smiled sadly. "Keep doing that. It suits you." After he left, I whispered to myself, "I'll try." Because sometimes the smallest promises carry the biggest weight. They say the body is a house, And age is what happens when the doors begin to close one by one. But I've learned something new. The body forgets, yes, names, energy, ease. But the heart remembers. It remembers the sound of your child's voice saying, Mama. It remembers laughter through static. It remembers love in every gasp of air. So tonight, before I fall asleep, I'll whisper my daughter's name again, like prayer, like proof. And if you're listening to me now, call your mother, call your father, call the person whose heartbeat built yours. Don't wait for perfect timing. Perfect timing doesn't exist, because one day their body will forget, and your silence will remember. Some nights the mind won't stay quiet. It rummages through years as if searching for something it misplaced. A voice, a moment, a chance to begin again. I lie awake listening to the rain and realize it sounds exactly like her childhood. The tap of tiny feet running across our old veranda. The clatter of spoons as she stirred too much sugar into her milk. The past isn't gone. It just learned how to whisper through ordinary sounds. In the drawer beneath my bed are cassettes from when she was little. Her father used to record her singing off-key into a toy microphone. Tonight I found one and played it. The tape crackled. Then her voice spilled out. High-pitched, fearless, calling, Mama, listen. I laughed and cried at the same time. Time is cruel that way. It lets you hear but not touch. When the song ended, the room felt too big for one heartbeat. So I picked up my phone and played her latest voicemail right after the tape. The two voices met in the air. A child and a woman saying the same word, Mama, past and present in a duet of love. I still cook for two. It's habit. My hand doubles the spice without thinking. While the food simmers, I find myself telling stories to the steam. The way she used to sit on the counter, legs swinging, asking, why does onion make people cry? I'd say, because even vegetables need to feel. She'd giggle, and for a moment the whole house smelled like laughter. Now I tell the same joke to the empty pan. It still laughs back in steam. Do you remember the night you had a fever and I slept on the floor beside your bed? Then I deleted it. She doesn't need that memory now. It would only make her worry. But I needed to write it, because sometimes love is too quiet to be heard. It must be typed and erased just to exist. 2 weeks ago I found a button on my phone, record call. Curiosity 1. I pressed it. Now I save every night we talk. I label them carefully. Day 62, Day 63, Rainy Tuesday. When I listen later, I hear things I missed the first time. Her soft laugh when I mispronounce her boss's name. The pause before she says, I love you, as if testing whether the line is strong enough to carry it. These recordings are my new albums. No music, just memory. Maybe one day, when I'm not here, she'll play them and realize love was always singing in the background. Regret is a quiet guest. It doesn't knock. It just sits down beside you and starts talking. Mine shows up around midnight, asking why I worked so much, why I rushed through bedtime stories, why I ever told her to grow up when all I really meant was stay small a little longer. If I could go back, I'd slow down time by just 1 minute each day, enough to hold her hand a little longer before letting go. During our call tonight, she showed me photos from her office, smiling faces, coffee cups, buildings that look all the same. Then she turned the camera and said, see that empty frame on my desk? It's for our photo, Mama. I didn't know whether to smile or cry, because we already have so many photos together, but none from these last years of distance. I told her to print one from our video calls. Even pixels can be family, I said. She laughed, but she promised she would. After she hung up, I wrote her a letter by hand. No email, no emoji, just ink and truth. My dearest girl, every time the phone rings, my heart starts running before my body can catch up. You are my reason for still charging this old heart each morning. If you ever feel alone, play one of our recordings and breathe with me. I will still be there between the pauses. I folded it neatly and placed it in my notebook. Maybe letters don't need delivery to reach their destination. Sometimes I see her father in dreams. He sits at the table and asks, "How's our girl?" "Busy," I say. Like her mother, he smiles. We don't talk about death. We talk about life as if it's a shared project we're still finishing together. When I wake, the chair beside me is empty, but the conversation lingers. I count that as a visit. Each evening I place my phone on its stand like an offering. It connects me to her the way prayer once connected me to God. The difference is that my daughter answers faster. Sometimes she calls me first and says, "I miss you today." And I pretend I was just about to say the same. Because pride survives even in old age. I used to fear forgetting things, faces, events, places. Now I realize memory doesn't need accuracy, it needs emotion. Every memory that hurts a little is proof that it still lives, and each echo of laughter or cry is a message from time saying, "You loved well." I suppose that's all anyone wants at the end. To know that they loved well, even if imperfectly. She called early today. The sky behind her was still blue. "Mama, guess what? I got the promotion." I clapped, laughed, felt proud. But after the call ended, I looked at the recording folder and whispered, "Day 89, the day she did it." Because if I'm not here one day, I want someone to press play and hear how happiness sounds. The past doesn't disappear, it learns to echo. In our voices, in our children, in the spaces between calls. Sometimes we mistake quiet for loss, when really it's just the sound of love traveling back to us. If you're listening to me right now, don't rush through your memories. Sit with them. Play the old voicemail. Look at the photo you think you've outgrown. And if someone out there still waits for your call, be their echo before the silence answers first. Evenings used to feel like rituals. Boil the kettle. Lay out the teacup. Turn the chair a little toward the lamp. Then wait, not for the clock, but for the sound of the phone. The call always came between 7 and 8. I barely finished pouring water before her voice filled the room. Tonight, though, the minutes slid past like sand through a crack in glass. 7:30, 7:40, 8. Nothing. I told myself the same lies mothers tell to keep their hearts calm. Maybe she's working late. Maybe her battery died. Maybe she just forgot the time. But forgetting time is what happens when life is full. And remembering it, that's what's left for those of us whose lives have grown quiet. The chair by my window creaks when I sit, as if it misses her too. I place the phone on the table, screen up, waiting for it to glow. Its silence hums louder than the rain. 4 years, every beat meant connection. Tonight, every minute without one feels like punishment. I stare at the reflection in the black glass. An old woman holding onto light that isn't coming. I whisper, "She'll call." She always calls. The house doesn't answer. The clock on the wall ticks louder when I'm alone. Each second sounds like a question. Still waiting? I try reading, but the words blur into thoughts of her. I open our old messages. Thousands of small digital crumbs leading back to love. Every good night, every did you eat, feels heavier tonight. I type a new one. Are you busy? Then delete it. I don't want to be the kind of mother who hovers. But maybe I already am. The rain outside grows louder, as if it wants to fill the space her voice usually holds. I close my eyes and imagine her speaking through it. "Mama, I'm fine. Don't wait up." But even imagination has limits. You can only pretend for so long before the ache demands truth. When she was 10, she once forgot to come home after school. I waited by the gate until dusk, heart beating in prayers instead of words. When she finally appeared, dust on her shoes, smile bright, I cried harder than she'd ever seen. Tonight feels like that again, only this time. The gate is a phone screen. I open the call log. No missed call. No message. I replay last night's recording just to hear her laugh. It fills the room for a few minutes, and then ends mid-sentence, as if even the recording forgot how to continue without her. When the silence returns, it feels heavier than grief. The kettle whistles again. I forgot I'd turned it on. Steam curls into the air like a spirit looking for warmth. I pour a cup anyway. 2 spoons of sugar, 1 for her, 1 for me. The chair across the table is empty, but habit makes me talk to it. You must be starving, sweetheart. My voice cracks. The sound startles me. It's been hours since I spoke aloud. 9:30. 10. The phone remains still. Even the charger light refuses to blink. It's strange how a piece of metal and glass can hold your whole heart hostage. I remember telling her once, "Don't let technology rule your life." She laughed. Now I see the irony. Technology is the only thing keeping mine alive. I start humming the song I used to sing her as a lullaby. The notes shake. My breath wavers halfway through. But I keep going. If love could travel through sound alone, it would find her wherever she is. Tired, distracted, unaware of this small heartbreak happening miles away. Maybe she'll sense it in her sleep. Maybe she'll wake and text, "Thinking of you." Hope is stubborn that way. People think loneliness is silence. It isn't. It's the ticking clock, the hum of the fridge, the faint echo of your own breath asking, "Is anyone there?" Tonight, loneliness has a sound. The rain against the glass and the static of a phone that won't ring. Before bed, I kneel by the window. I don't pray the way I used to. I just whisper her name. That's enough of a prayer for me. A name offered to the night like a candle. I tell the sky, keep her safe. Let her call tomorrow. Then I set the phone beside me. Screen up, volume high, as if sound could protect me from dreams. In the dream, the phone finally lights up. Her face fills the screen, glowing. "I'm sorry, Mama," she says. "I was just late." I try to speak, but my voice doesn't work. She smiles, places her palm on the camera. "You always wait for me." Then the picture freezes, and the sound turns into waves again. When I wake, the phone is still dark. Sunlight seeps through the curtains. My body aches from sleeping in the chair. I reach for the phone before I even open my eyes. Still nothing. Just then, a single ping. A message. "Good morning, Mama. I'm so sorry. Fell asleep at work. I love you." I smile, tears burning. Type back. "I love you too. I never sleep before you say good night." I delete the second sentence before sending. She doesn't need to know the whole truth. It's easy to think love disappears when the call doesn't come, but sometimes it's just resting, catching its breath before returning. Still, waiting hurts. And every parent who's ever watched the phone in silence knows that pain. So, if you're listening to me now, don't make someone wait through a night like this. Don't let love wonder if it's been forgotten. Call, even if you have nothing to say, even if it's just to ask, "Did you eat?" Because one day, that small question will echo in your heart, louder than any "I love you." Morning comes like an apology. The air feels softer, the light kinder, as if the world knows it left me waiting too long. I sit by the window with my tea, watching the steam curl up and vanish. The closest thing to company before her voice arrives. The phone lies face up on the table. Quiet, sleeping, innocent of what it made me feel last night. Then, at 8:17 a.m., it lights up. Her name fills the room. "Good morning, Mama." "Good morning, sweetheart." That's all it takes. The house exhales. The silence retreats. Her hair is still messy from sleep. There's a crease on her cheek from the pillow. To me, she's never looked more beautiful. "You're up early," she says. "I never went to bed," I answer with a smile. She frowns. "You waited for me again, didn't you?" I sip my tea slowly, pretending not to hear the guilt in her voice. A mother doesn't wait, I tell her. She just stays available. That makes her laugh, the kind of laugh that sounds like forgiveness. She tells me she fell asleep at her desk. Work deadlines, late emails, the usual reasons life builds between us. I wanted to call, "Mama," I really did, but I must have dozed off. "That's all right, my dear. You needed rest more than I needed company." It's half truth, half love. I don't tell her about the cold tea, the empty hours, the prayers whispered to the dark, because motherhood is the art of protecting others from your own loneliness. She eats cereal on camera while I peel an apple. We've turned our meal times into shared rituals. When she chews, I sip. When I laugh, she swallows before smiling. It's clumsy, but it's ours. "I should come next weekend," she says suddenly. "You'll be tired, sweetheart. Stay home." "No, I want to see you." My heart jumps, but I answer calmly. "Then I'll bake your favorite bread." I don't mention I'll need help lifting the oven tray. That can stay a secret. There's a pause in our call. No words, just the quiet of two people remembering the same things. I see her eyes drift. She's thinking about our kitchen table back home. The smell of dough, the sound of me humming while she did homework. For a moment, the years fold neatly between us. Way back there again. Younger, busier, together. She tilts her head. "Mama, you look pale." "Just the lighting," I reply too quickly. "No, it's more than that. You've lost weight." I want to tell her it's only the camera angle, but the truth sits heavy in my chest. I change the subject. "Show me your balcony garden." She sighs, then smiles and turns the camera. Green plants, bright sun, life blooming where mine quietly fades. She tells me a funny story about her coworker. Spilled coffee, broken heels, laughter echoing in the office. Her hands move fast as she talks, the way they used to when she explained her school projects. I laugh along, not because the story's funny, but because laughter itself feels like oxygen. "I miss your laugh, Mama." "Then keep calling. It lives here." I ask her to take a screenshot, so you'll have proof I still look decent at my age. She laughs and snaps one. Then she says quietly, "I want to print this one for my desk." The thought makes me tee up, but I hide it by adjusting the camera. "Make sure you pick a nice frame." "Always," she says. The rest of the call is easy. Light conversation, gentle teasing. The kind of talk that makes time behave. She shows me her new earrings. I show her the neighbor's cat stealing my bread. Two worlds stitched together through giggles and pixels. Before hanging up, she says, "I love you, Mama." I answer softly, "I know." Then add, almost whispering, "I love you too, my girl." She smiles. The screen goes dark. The quiet after connection always feels too big, but this morning it doesn't hurt as much. Her voice still echoes in the air, floating between teacup and curtain, as if the house itself remembers her. I replay a small clip from the call, the part where she laughs without holding back. It's medicine, more reliable than any prescription. In my notebook I write, "Day 95, she called. She's happy, so I'm still breathing." Then I underline the word breathing. It's become both task and gratitude. As I tidy the table, I realize something I've been avoiding. Each morning she calls, and each night I wait. But somewhere in between, life is slipping away quietly, without ceremony or warning. Not because of sickness, but because that's how time leaves. Gently, respectfully, like a guest who doesn't want to disturb. I don't fear it anymore. I just hope that when I do leave, the last thing she hears is the sound she once fell asleep to. My breath, steady and soft. Love changes shape as we age. It becomes a voice through a phone, a smile on a small screen, a message that says, "Good morning, Mama." If you're listening to this, think of the person who waits quietly for your voice. They might never say they are lonely. They might hide their pain behind jokes and recipes, but their heart still lifts every time your name lights up their phone. Call them. Stay a little longer on the line. Don't hang up too soon, because one day the connection will fall silent, and you'll wish for one more morning like this one. I felt it before the doctor said it. Not a pain, just a loosening, as if the day had untied its last ribbon. I straightened the bed, folded the shawl at the foot, set the phone on its stand. I brewed tea I knew I wouldn't finish. I opened the window a finger's width so the night could feel invited, not intrusive. On the table, my notebook lay open. Day 100. Keep the camera on. I underlined the sentence twice. Not for her, for me. When her name lit the screen, the house brightened with it. "Hi, Mama." "Hi, my girl." She was already smiling. She does that now. Smiles first, speaks second, as if kindness must go in before words. "Can we keep the call going tonight?" she asked. "We always do," I said. "But tonight, let's promise not to hang up first." She nodded, eyes glistening though she tried to hide it with a joke about our electricity bill. I adjusted the phone so she could see me clearly, pillow, lamp, a small bowl of flowers. I wanted the frame to look like a place where goodbyes were not necessary, only understood. We talked about small things with big hearts inside them. Her neighbor's new plant, my neighbor's new grandson, the bread I promised to bake when she visits, the visit she promises to take when time loosens its grip on her. "I'll come soon, Mama." "Then I'll set 2 cups," I said, tapping the saucer with my fingertip, like a bell only we could hear. She watched me breathe. I watched her blink. In between, love kept passing like a quiet courier. No delays, no customs, nothing to declare. There is a moment at my age when you notice the pauses more than the breaths. A softness opens between 2 inhales, and inside that space a lifetime waits politely. She noticed too. "Mama, you sound tired." "Happy tired," I lied, then corrected myself. "Peaceful tired." I folded the shawl over my arm. The skin there was cool, like evening on a stone step. I didn't tell her that the room had begun to tilt gently, as if the earth were rocking me for the first time. "Tell me a story," she said suddenly, the way she used to as a child. "Which one?" "Any. The one where I fall asleep to your voice." So I told her the shortest true story I know. Once, there was a little girl who believed that love was proof you were not alone. She grew up and forgot the proof. One day, she found it again in the sound of breathing. She closed her eyes. I watched her shoulders settle, the way waves settle after touching the shore. "Keep talking," she whispered. I said. "Even when you don't hear me, I asked her gentle things, the way mothers do when time is put on the table like a small, breakable thing. "Do you eat breakfast sitting down?" "Most days." "Do you laugh with your whole face? When it's you, do you forgive quickly?" "I'm learning." "Good," I said. "It makes the road shorter." Then she asked me, "Are you afraid, Mama?" I looked straight into the little glass eye that has watched me grow old. "No," I said. "I'm grateful. Afraid is for losing. Grateful is for arriving." The clock to my left blinked 12:03. A soft ache rose and passed, like a bird changing branches. I reached for the notebook and slid a letter from between the pages. I didn't read it aloud. I just kept it in my palm so she could see. For you, I said, tapping the paper. What is it? A tomorrow written with today's hand. You'll open it when the day knows your name. She nodded, not understanding. That's the mercy of love. It doesn't require comprehension, only presence. She began to hum, very softly, the tune I used to sing when the fever frightened her as a child. I joined until my breath turned to a hum of its own. Her voice trembled. Mine floated. The two met in the middle like hands crossing a river. Don't sleep yet, she pleaded, eyes wide now. I'm not. I lied kindly. I'm listening. So I listened, to her breathing, to mine, to the thin silver wire of connection humming between our rooms. Midnight slipped its shoes off and sat beside us. My lamp haloed the edge of the frame. The flowers in the bowl held their breath with me. I felt it then, a loosening in the chest, a door opening where there never was a door. "Mama," she said, as if she'd heard it too. I smiled the way I used to when she finally drifted off after a long cry. I placed my hand on the pillow, close to the phone. "I'm here," I whispered. "Keep the camera on." The room leaned once, gently. The pauses grew wider, but they weren't empty. They were full of everything we'd already said. I looked at her one last time. Hair soft, eyes bright with love, the woman I raised raising me back to the light. "My girl," I said, and the words held my whole life. "Yes, Mama." "Eat breakfast. Forgive easily. And call someone who waits." Her lip trembled. "I will." "Good," I breathed. "Then I can rest." I closed my eyes. The camera stayed on. Her voice wove itself into the hush. The last thing I heard was her whisper, "I'm here, Mama. I'm here." And I believed her. She had fallen asleep on the call. When day arrived, the screen still showed my room, lamp warm, flowers bright. She watched the frame without speaking, as if any sound might undo the peace inside it. Then she noticed the letter on the pillow just within the frame's edge. A neighbor helped her open the door later that morning. Inside the letter I'd written, "My dearest girl, if this is the day you read these lines, then know it is not a day of loss. It is a day of delivery. All the love I could not pack into words is now living in your habits, your kindness, your laughter, your late-night calls. Be generous with time. Call the ones who wait. Eat breakfast. Pray with your actions. And when nights are heavy, keep the camera on. I will be there, between breaths, between memories, between the person you were and the person you've become. Mama." She pressed the paper to her heart. And then, as if remembering a promise, she ate breakfast, slowly, gratefully, seated by the window. From where I am now, sound moves differently. It is not volume, it is devotion. I hear her when she laughs with both eyes. I hear her when she answers unknown numbers kindly. I hear her when she pauses before goodbye, adding one more "I love you," just in case. If she forgets, I'll remind her through ordinary miracles. Sunlight landing on her tea, a notification arriving at the exact moment she thinks of me, a stranger's lullaby on a passing radio. Every kindness she offers is a reply to a message I sent years ago. If you've stayed with me to this last frame, let me ask you gently, who is waiting for your voice tonight? Whose phone lies face up on a table, glowing at every sound that isn't you? When did you last keep the call going, not to talk, but to listen, to the proof that someone you love is still here? Tell me in the comments. Have you ever left the camera on just to hear someone breathe? What did that sound teach you? And before you scroll away, please, do one small thing. Call the person who waits. Say something simple. Ask, "Did you eat?" Stay a minute longer than you planned, because one day the frame will close, and the only sound left will be the echo of kindness you gave while the camera was still on. Before you go, if this story touched even a small corner of your heart, Take a breath and think of the one who still waits for your call. Don't wait for tomorrow. Send a message. Or better, let them hear your voice tonight. And if you'd like to keep walking through stories like this, true moments, quiet lessons, and the voices of aging hearts, subscribe to Hidden Feelings. Share your own story in the comments below. You never know, your words might be the light someone else needs tonight. This is Hidden Feelings. Thank you for listening. And don't forget, someone is waiting for your call.